Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Dr. Adrienne with Healthy Living Chiropractic. It is Thursday. It is the beginning of summer. The longest day of the year was yesterday. Love it. Love the sunshine. We're happy here in Minnesota because the sun is out. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about artificial sugars. Primarily, we're going to be talking more about aspartame. That's going to be kind of the main one we'll be talking about today. But it kind of encompasses some of the other ones, such as aspartame, sucralose, sorbitol. Those are the big ones that are kind of the most commonly used ones today. And so we're going to discuss kind of what types of things, like what they are, kind of how they work, how they affect the body, what types of like negative effects that they can cause, as well as what types of things that you can do for yourself and for your families in order to get those things out of your diet if you're so interested, and kind of other types of natural alternatives that you could use as a result. And I've got an example of a couple of products here that we have at our office that we're going to be offering on sale next month. So if you wanted to try some new things, now is the time. So first of all, if you like what we say, please share, please comment, please send this information to your friends. I always love just educating people. The more people we can connect with, the better. This is all information that I've known about for a very, very long time, but sometimes it takes a lot of repetition, and it takes kind of hearing it from other sources in order for it to kind of sink in. So, all right, let's get started. So what is aspartame? Aspartame is an odorless powder that is about 200 times sweeter than sugar. So it's a little white powder that has no calories. That's kind of why it's kind of been a big deal, why it's in our society. You just need a tiny little bit, and it causes, whatever you're putting in, whether food, drinks, snacks, candy, those kinds of things, to be extremely sweet, but without the calories. So it's been promoted as a low calorie sweetener, and it's in any product that says diet, or it says low sugar, zero sugar, no sugar, sugar-free, things that say less sugar, all have, like I said, if you look at the ingredients, all will have some form of artificial sugar in it, or artificial sweetener. If things actually say pure cane sugar, then that's okay, that's fine, but they're not going to say that if they're low sugar or light. So really kind of look at what the label says, and that's how you're going to get your best information. The aspartame and other artificial sugars are in over 6,000 products on the market right now, so that's a ton. Primarily they're located in drinks, so like your Crystal Light, or like your packets, your Mio, those squeeze drinks, those all have aspartame in them. Candies that say low sugar. The big one for me was gum, like the Extra Gum or Trident gum. My kids love that. We love that. But once we kind of realized that was in there, we try to do more of the Pure or the other brands that we get at Lake Winds now. Salad dressings, condiments, anything that says light dressing, that's going to have an artificial sugar in it. And so what aspartame is made up? It's made up of a synthetic compound of aspartic acid and phenylalanine. So those two things are actually naturally occurring amino acids that our body needs. However, what that chemical does is that, like I said, they're synthetic, but it also includes what's called a methyl ester. And I'm not a sciencey person. I did not love chemistry or organic chemistry, so bear with me. But those, again, they're naturally occurring amino acids, but when you bring that combination into the body with that methyl ester, when it's broken down, it actually turns into methanol in the body, and then can turn into formaldehyde. And so I was doing a lot of research on this prior to our discussion today about how long that formaldehyde lasts in the body. And it's definite, the verdict is out, or the jury's out, excuse me. There's no real clear-cut answers as to how long it stays in the body, but the simple fact that it's made and kind of turns into that in the body is a negative thing. Formaldehyde is a known carcinogen, so it's known to cause cancer. And it's in a lot of ingredients, and it's in a lot of things. If you've listened to our previous talks about toxic products, toxic beauty products, cleaning products, you name it, formaldehyde is one of the big things that's located in a lot of, or big chemicals, that's located in a lot of products. And it's not a good thing. So while it's really common in our society in things, it doesn't mean it's good for you. So like I said, these things turn into formaldehyde in the body. So I don't like that. Not a big fan of that. So there's been a lot of controversy with aspartame. It was formulated in the 70s. It was banned. It's been banned from the FDA twice, kind of in the 70s. Once for causing brain tumors in lab rats, so definitely not a good thing. But the powers that be made it approved in 1981, kind of miraculously. If you look at, usually there's some money trail there. So it's been approved since 1981. And since then, the marketing has kicked up, and they've, touted the low sugar and diet products, since then very, very heavily. But just this past May, after 42 years, the World Health Organization admits, and I'm going to read this here, besides not helping with the long-term reduction of body fat, non-sugar sweeteners may, with long-term use, increase the risk of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and early death. So now they're saying on the record that these artificial sweeteners have been shown to cause type 2 diabetes. They do not help with weight loss. They actually can cause weight gain. They can cause cardiovascular disease and lead to early death. So kind of any of those statements right there are enough to tell me, hey, let's keep these things out of my body and keep these out of my patients' bodies and my kids' bodies, okay? So let's talk about what types of effects that these artificial sugars can have on your body. Like we discussed, cancer, an increased, there's a study done in 2022, so just last year, that said that there's an increased cancer risk associated with the use of artificial sweeteners. Like I said, it turns into formaldehyde, formaldehyde being a known carcinogen. You can kind of connect the dots there. The gut bacteria has shown to be altered by the use of artificial sugars. What that means is that our gut's made of, like in our digestive system, our gut is made up of healthy bacteria, single-celled organisms, as well as fungi and other types of really tiny microorganisms that are actually, they work together symbiotically to help our immune system, kind of to help our body. They work in tandem with our human cells in order to help create a healthy, it's called the healthy microbiome. And so that can be disrupted by these chemicals, which can then break that down, can then cause, obviously negative effects. But the gut and the brain have a very strong connection with one another. If the gut is abnormal or is sick, it can affect how the brain is. And so that kind of ties into, leaky gut. If you guys have heard of that or are familiar with that, if the gut is unhealthy, then certain bigger things can get through the gut, can then get into the brain, and that can cause a lot of neurological issues. So that's one of the other things that aspartame and other artificial sugars are tied to, is neurological concerns. So issues such as seizures, headaches, migraines, depression, mood disorders can be tied to artificial sugars. ADD, ADHD can also be tied to artificial sugars as well. I've had a number of patients that we've gotten them off of those types of chemicals in their food, and their behavior starts to change. It's really awesome and amazing how that can shift and change. Also, dizziness. Another big one is Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease has been linked, and there's a number of studies that show this, that has been linked to use of these types of sugars, of these artificial sugars, that as well as MS too. So other neurological type issues can be caused or made worse with these types of chemicals. The cardiovascular system is another system that can be negatively affected by the use of artificial sweeteners. So a study produced in the British Medical Journal found that a high intake of artificial sweeteners increased the risk of cardiovascular disease and problems such as stroke and coronary artery disease. So those are not good, right? This study also said that people who drank one artificially sweetened drink per day had up to 3 times the risk of stroke compared to people who drank less than 1 drink per week. So that alone is huge, 3 times the amount of a risk of stroke if you're eating artificial sugars. Another thing, and this kind of ties into what the World Health Organization was saying earlier in the beginning of this talk, is that weight gain is actually common with the use of diet sodas. Sweet cravings, increased appetite, and food intake. It doesn't necessarily increase the blood sugar specifically, but it does affect how that blood sugar imbalance occurs, and can definitely mess up kind of all of that. Can affect, can cause and make type 2 diabetes worse, can also lead to poor glucose control. So we really don't want any of that stuff as well. Another thing that these can be tied with is our skin problems, allergies, other types of chronic kidney issues, and even birth defects have been tied into the use of these artificial sugars. So now that you know that they're not really necessarily good for you, they're actually pretty nasty, what is it that we do about it? First of all, I would say stop using them. If you need to have a sugary drink, or if you really are kind of needing that, actually opt for real sugar. I know at the grocery store, they've got all the different, Crystal Lights. I've mentioned like the Mio, those types of things. I found at the grocery store that we shop at, there's this one, I think it's called like Pure Lemonade, and it literally just has cane sugar on it, which is good. I mean, we don't always want a lot of sugar, but if you're really opting for that, I would go for something that actually has sugar in it and not a sugar substitute. You're gonna be better off. And I'm not saying go out and drink a bunch of sugary drinks, everything in moderation, but when in doubt, I would pick sugar over that any day. We've got a couple other things in our office. We do fruits and greens, the dynamic greens stuff, which is really great. It has mangosteen, as well as I believe it has stevia as the sweetener. We're offering these on sale next month. So if you're really looking for, especially with the kids, are looking for a Kool-Aid type of drink, the fruits and greens is really great through Nutridyne. I really like those. It's summertime, it's hot. Gatorade is big at a lot of my kids, soccer games, things like that. When they bring the Gatorade Zero, I tell my kids they can't have it. They can have the other stuff, but they can't have the Zero. Endura is a product through Metagenics. It comes in little packets. It's lemon lime. It's basically a kind of an energy drink that doesn't have the artificial sugar. So big fan of that. So yeah, if you can try and eliminate those, that'd be ideal. The big piece is look at your labels. If there is something that you're taking or eating, look at them. If they say sucralose, if they say aspartame, if they say sorbitol, if they say other words that you can't quite understand and they don't say pure cane sugar, then you're having an artificial sugar. So you really want to try to be mindful of that and not drink or eat those things. And last thing, things that we can help with is we can help to detoxify your body. So if you have had a chronic use of these, I was a Diet Coke junkie back in the day. I finally kind of broke myself of that habit about 15-ish years ago when I finally learned about all this stuff, but I can help you detoxify. So if you are experiencing some of the things that we discussed, or you're concerned about those types of things, we can work on detoxifying these things kind of out of the brain, out of the gut, helping to heal the gut, helping to clear the liver. That is what we do in our office with our nutrition work. So if you have any questions about that, please reach out to me. Would love to have a conversation and do what I can to help you and your family. So I hope everyone has a great day. Happy Thursday, and we'll talk again next week. Bye.